Welcome to Microsoft Word 2019, Lesson 4 by Megan Reese. In this lesson, we're going to focus on some file features, some more lesser used features in the file menu. And then a lot of it is kind of just like all the stuff we haven't covered yet that is still within the umbrella of most commonly used features in the program. So there will be quite a bit of review in this lesson where you'll be doing things that you learned in lessons 1, 2, and 3 and seeing if you can still do that, especially columns, tabs, and tables. So there is quite a bit of review in this lesson. We're going to start by doing a new blank page. Making sure you know how to start from scratch is probably really basic, but we haven't done it yet, just that I can go to File and New and get a new page to start. I can also get a template, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. Okay, so that's how you create a page from scratch. And then one thing a lot of people don't realize is that when you save, you can save in lots of different formats. So if I were to go to File, Save As, and give it a name, it's automatically going to save it as a Word document. But I can pull this down and I can choose lots of other options, okay? One is we're going to do PDF, we're going to do TXT, and also one we'll talk about later is a template. Okay, those are three that you could see on the MOS test, but they're probably the most commonly used ones. So if I save it as a TXT file, it's just a straight up text file. It doesn't have any formatting, nothing extra. A text file is going to open exactly the same no matter what program you're using. So sometimes if you want to send information to someone, but they don't have Word, or maybe they're using Google or whatever, you don't want to have them pull it up and then it looks all weird. So it's just straight up text. That's it. Okay. So you will be asked to save as a TXT program. Okay, the other one is PDF, and I'm going to explain this one now. It won't come into play until the application. You won't do it in the practice. So if you're doing your application and it's asking you to save as a PDF, this is what you want to watch. So PDF file is another program that you don't have to have a specific program, and it'll maintain all your fonts and your pictures. It basically almost turns it into an image file. I mean, it doesn't, but it's like that where you can't move and change anything. So once let's say I've got a really cool file. Okay, so I just pulled up my application for assignment 1 when it's all completed. Let's say that I've created this and I'm like, oh, I need to send it to a friend for some reason, and they don't have Microsoft Word. So I email them this file, and then they're like, oh, well, I don't have Word, so I'm going to open it up in Google, right? I go to New, File, Upload, and I go get that exact same file, and I open it in Google. Now, as you see, as I open it in Google, it doesn't look the same. I've lost my font. See that? Because Google doesn't have the fonts that I had. Also, it pushed it onto a second page. It changed my header. It doesn't look the same. Okay, I've even seen it happen where I create something on Word and my husband opens it on his computer in Word and it doesn't come across the same. Like, I've seen that happen before. So that can be very frustrating when you're like, no, I want it to look exactly like this. That's why you'd want to save it as a PDF. Or maybe you just don't want people to go in and be able to edit it. Okay, maybe I've created something, like as a teacher, I create something and I don't want my students to be able to go in and change my key or whatever. I want them to be able to see it, but not be able to change it. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and browse, and then I'm going to come down here and choose PDF. And when I save it as a PDF, notice it has a different code here. When I click Save, it's going to take a second, and then it pops up, and there it is. It looks exactly the same. But if I were to email this to someone, they would open up in their PDF viewer and it would look exactly the same. The fonts, everything's flattened. I can't go in and change anything. I can't edit it. I can't make it do anything else. So if you want to send a file to someone that's in Word or Excel or anything, you can always save it as a PDF and send the PDF, and then it can't be edited or altered. All right, so let's go back to insert the TXT file. So from the other side, like the example that you're going to do for your application. In your application, you're going to be making a play program, okay? So I do play programs for my own school, right? And so I'm like, well, I don't know who for example, I need a list of all the kids that are in the chorus, right? I don't have that information. The drama teacher has it, right? So she sends me maybe a Word document that has the names of all the kids that are in the ensemble, right? All those names. But I got to get them into my program. And so that's why you might be having information in a different sheet that you need to pull in. That's just one example in my own life that where I've had to do that. So when you go into Insert, there's a little thing over here that says Object. Now, if you click on just Object, it's going to ask if you want to pull in all kinds of unusual things, graphs and slides and stuff. And honestly, we don't really use that one very much. But you also have Create from File, or you can do Text from File. And they are not identical, okay? They are not the same. Let me get a new file here so you can see what I mean by that. So if I go to insert object and I do object and then I do create from file, and I'm going to actually go grab the directions for application 1. Okay, so I click it in, it's going to pull it in, but it pulls it in like really weird. Okay, it pulls it in like it's an image. Okay, and I can't really edit it or change it to do what I want to do. So that's not really going to be very useful to me, but there are times when that is going to be better. It just depends on what you're pulling in. Whereas if I insert object text from file, it's just going to get the text. So I go in here and do my directions and it just pulls it in. It's not 100% perfect, but it did pull in all the text from that assignment, right? And again, it's not 100%. It's better to just open the file. But if I need to insert just some of the stuff from it, I'm good to go. Okay. So that's how you would insert. Now, the problem is if it's saved as a TXT file, you might not be able to see it. Most of the time it's going to show all Word documents and it's only going to show me my Word documents. Okay. So like in assignment 4 in your lesson here, it's going to ask you to bring in like paragraph 1 or something like that. So you need to make sure you go down here and do all files, and then you'll be able to see them. Next thing we're going to talk about is file properties. I've seen this on pretty much every test I've taken on MOS, and I've never used it in a practical way, but and that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about is in this file section. Okay, so when we go to file, it automatically pulls this up. Okay, and the two most common thing, well, besides save and stuff, is you're going to have info and you're going to have options. Okay, we're going to look at both of those. So info tells me the information about this document. Okay, we're going to get into this inspect document. We're going to use some of this stuff later in a later lesson, but today we're just going to go over here and talk about document properties. Okay, so I could tell me like how many words are in it, how many times I've had this open 35 minutes, actually tells me how much time I've been editing it. Title and tags, I can say, oh, this is, practice, sorry, I can't spell today. And then maybe I'll put my name or something. So it's just tags, like what it's called and how it's tagged. And then if you go to properties and advanced properties, which I have seen it be asked for on the test, you can put what the subject is, and you can put in categories, I will put properties. Manager. So I'm the author. I wrote this, right? You could change that. So you're the author, Jennifer Smith, they may manager, whoever. So if you're in a company situation, you might want to keep track of that, like who made the original template and then who's managing and whatever. So when I click OK, you might be like, well, what's the point of that? Why does that matter? And most of the time it really doesn't. But one way that you see it, and I have you do this in your assignment, we're going to get a little bit into footers here and headers, is if I go into a header and I do 3, okay, I can type stuff in, right? But I can also come over here to document info and I can add the file name. I can add, oh, look at that, category, whatever I wrote in category, the manager, whatever, which I didn't put one in, so it doesn't show it. But you can actually put the stuff that's in your document info into your document. Okay, and that's really the only way I've ever seen it be used, but I'm sure it has other purposes. But anyway, so that's kind of how the file properties works. The next thing is options. So I'm going to go to file options right here, and there's a lot of cool stuff in here. We're going to just do a few things. In a later lesson, we'll do some more. But the main thing I want you to look at is display. One thing in display is right here. We want to make sure that this says print background colors and images. You're going to need that later. We'll talk about it when we get to page color. But if you don't have this checked and you add a page color, it won't show up. So make sure that's checked. Okay, it wasn't on mine. I had to check that myself. So this is just how things are displayed. Proofing, if you want things to be, like if it drives you crazy that it underlines everything in red, you can fix that, things like that. The other one is the ribbon. So customize ribbon, you can actually change what's in each ribbon. You can actually decide what's going to go there. So there are two ribbons that don't show up automatically. You have to add them. And so one of them is the draw ribbon, which yours is probably not showing. Mine is because I made it visible a long time ago. And the other one is your developer tab. Okay, so make sure you check both of those boxes. Developer you don't use very much, but developer is how I got all these check boxes, right? That's how I made these check boxes that actually check. That's in the developer tab. So I'm going to click OK. I now have a draw tab and a developer tab. And if I find that I don't use these tabs very much and I want to change that, I can always uncheck them and get rid of them. Okay. And then on your developer tab, you'll notice there's a little checkbox here. So I believe in your assignment, it asks you to insert a checkbox. And that's that right there. That's what the checkbox looks like. Okay. All right, I want to talk about bookmarks. They come up twice in this assignment. One, you're using the bookmarks, and another part, you're adding a bookmark. So I want to make sure you know how to use those. So if we go to Insert, you can go to Bookmark right here. I don't have any bookmarks set right now. But if I want to set one, I can say, okay, I want a bookmark right here, right? I'm going to say it's right there. And then, oops, sorry, get my photo where I want it. Okay, and then I go into bookmark and I can do, give it a name, book one. You can't do any spaces, so it's really picky. Click add, okay, and now when I go to bookmark, I can go directly to that bookmark and it will put my cursor there, okay? So if you have like a really, really long document, say it's pages and pages and pages, and I'm like, say it's like a page full of journal entries, right? And you're like, okay, I'm going to put a bookmark at the, September 1st and one at October 1st and one at November 1st. So I can quickly go through each section, or chapter 1, chapter 2. I can actually put bookmarks in there so I can skip immediately to where I want to go. So to go to a bookmark, you can just here and do go to, or if you do Control G, you can say, show me all my bookmarks, and then go to that one, okay? So setting a bookmark is quite easy. You just have to put your cursor where you want it to be and then create your bookmark. But be careful, they're easy to delete. You can just delete them this way, but sometimes if you just backspace over them, they're gone and you're like, hey, where'd my bookmark go? So anyway, that's how bookmarks work. All right, we're gonna move on to sorting. First I wanna say, if you've already learned Excel, sorting in Excel is like 5 billion times better than sorting in Word. Sorting in Word is a freaking pain. So if you wanna do anything really advanced in sorting, like honestly do it in Excel and then bring it over, because it isn't as easy to do in Word. So I have a list of names here. Notice that they're not single spaced, okay? When you do the application, that happens a lot where you'll press enter and it's not single spacing. So always be checking that and making sure this is at a 0, okay? But I want to go ahead and alphabetize this. So I'm going to go to home, and this is a pretty easy one to alphabetize because if I go to A through Z, I can choose. Do I want to alphabetize by word 1 or word 2? So word 1 would be Madison, word 2 would be May, right? So generally I want to do, in this case, I want to do word 1 because I want to sort by last name. I click OK and it gives me last name. So that's pretty straightforward. And obviously I can change it and say word 1, right? Or sorry, I did that wrong. Let me go back. Okay, so then I could do word 2 and that's going to sort by their first name. Okay, so if that's your case, that's going to be a lot better. But let's say you have these in tabs, okay? So I'm just going to throw these in tabs really quick. Okay, so I threw them in tabs. They're still sorted by first name, but notice that it went across this way, right? So Antonio Berger, it's going across, right? But I want to, oh, just kidding. I want it to go by last name. So I'm going to highlight the whole thing and try to sort it. And I still have field, and now it's field 1, 2, and 3. And it just, I don't know. It does weird things. Like you'll look at it and you'll be like, what exactly was it? It's not obvious what it was alphabetizing it by. So tabs don't work very well when you are using sort. So it's always better to sort it first and then put it in tabs, because once it's in tabs, it's really hard to do. But if it's in a table, okay, so I just made a quick table, and now I can sort it a little bit more like it is in Word, where I can come in here, or in Excel, where I can come in here and I can say, okay, first I want to sort by area, area, where'd it go? Oh, okay, so I told you, sorting's a pain in the butt. You want to make, this one, it needs to know there's a header row, so it needs to know that name and area are not part of what I'm sorting. So now it lets me do that. So before it wouldn't let me do that, it just kept saying column 2. So I want to change it so it shows that I have a header row, which is name and area. And then I can say area, and then I can say name and make sure it's in ascending order, click OK. And now it's put it in the proper order, okay? Although I have the same name twice, I'm not sure why. But it's got an alphabetical order. So all the E's are together and then the name, right? So that's pretty much the same. But yeah, it can get very confusing to alphabetize. So a lot of times if I have a huge thing that has to be sorted, I will put it in a straight row, a straight line, and like straight down, and then do it, and then put it into tabs. I don't know. It's just a pain in the butt. Or sometimes I'll even do it in Excel and then pull it in because it's just such a pain to do in Word. All right, we're going to move on to drop cap. This is something you've probably seen in books and never really thought much about, but what I do is I put my cursor at the beginning of a paragraph. I go to insert, and all the way over here, there's a drop cap. Now, if I just do dropped, I can do it either outside or regular dropped. Most of the time we do it inside, okay? And you can also go to drop cap options where you can decide how many lines it's going to take up. Okay, so maybe I only want it to be like one line, and then it's slightly bigger, right? It's not much bigger than it would have been otherwise. It's just one line. You can also say how far away you want it to be. So I want it 3 lines, and the distance, I'm going to kind of put a little space between it so that it's bigger, right? And the reason you might do that is if you change the font on it, sometimes the new font that you pick is really obnoxious and big, and you need a little bit more space to see it or whatnot. So it can be kind of tricky to do, but anyway, so you have that. And you can also do, when you click on this, you can add all the things you would do to any typical font. You can change the color and size. See, now that it's a little too big for that area, so I might want to minimize it just a bit, make it fit right in the area. It just depends on what font I picked. But you can do all those things that you could before, add a glow to it, all that stuff. But it will cut it off if it's not the right size, right? So again, just go to Insert and Drop Cap, and you can add a little drop cap at the beginning of every sentence. So that's kind of cool. All right, we're going to move on to bullets. And along with bullets is understanding as using symbols that we used in our last assignment. We learned about all the symbols and how they have codes. And you can use that in bullets as well. So I'm going to highlight, actually, let's get a new set. Okay, so bullets aren't going to work in tabs very well unless I want all of them bulleted. Okay, so if I were to add bullets there, it would just, they're in the home ribbon. It would bullet everything. Oh, let's see, look at that. Only bullets the first one. So it's not going to do them all. So bullets don't work very well in tabs. If you want tabs, if you want to have all of these bulleted, you would do it as a column. Okay, bullets don't really work in tabs. And I don't know how well they work. Yeah, I guess they do work inside of a table. So good to know. All right, but right here, I'm going to go ahead, and if I just click on the button, it's going to give me the typical tabs. If I pull this down, now mine shows a billion options. That's because I've been writing these lessons, and so it puts it in, it remembers all the stuff I did. But when you pull yours down, you're not going to have near as many options as that, okay? There's going to be some options like this one that are like, and I think like this one and this one, these ones right here, are kind of the default actions that you can use, okay? So those are there. But you can also come in here to define new bullet, and the main thing you use is a symbol. So all those same ones we talked about with symbols before, and when we were learning symbols, you can use those instead of as bullets, right? And you can even type a number in here, and it's going to get you that specific one that's the character code for whatever it is, and then it becomes your bullet, okay? So you can use any font, but preferably one of the image fonts, okay? So, I mean, yeah, you could use, you know, something like this, but it's not really going to work, right? You want to use a Wingding font, which is the kind of font that's designed where instead of letters, it uses pictures. And you can even download fonts like that off the internet. Okay, so another cool one that's in here is this SEGO. This is a new discovery for me. I didn't even know it existed until I took the MOS test, but there's some really cool ones in here. The emoji ones are really cool because they're the only bullets I've ever seen that are colored. So when you click on them, at least some of them, and you click OK, they actually are color. See, so that's kind of cool. You can also go get pictures online. So I can go into bullets, define new bullet, and go to picture, and then just either get it from my file, or if you have access to Bing, you can type in, you know, kitten. But remember, when you're picking a bullet, you don't really want something like that, okay? Because it's just going to be a green blob. Okay, it's not going to be like that's not a good bullet. So when you're choosing a bullet, you don't have the option to like cut it down and make it do exactly what you want. So you have to look very carefully about what you want. So in this case, this one might be good. It's got a lot of white around it, and so it's going to shrink it down quite a bit. And so that's probably not this one. Anything that's pictures instead, or like drawings, are always going to make better bullets. So I click that, and it's going to be a little more obvious that it's a little kitten, right? So you can do pictures for your bullets. One other thing is you can use the ruler to change how much space there is between. So if you look up here in your ruler, you have the control, of where this goes. So you don't do a tab like I just did. I just made a tab I didn't want. But this will tell me where it starts, this one, where it starts, and this is how far it is. So in your assignment, you're going to have to adjust a few times because you're in a table and it might push it down to another row. So you want to widen this enough so that it all fits on one line. Okay. All right, we're going to go over to the design tab over here. And in previous lessons, we learned about page borders and watermarks, but we haven't done page color and the colors over here, the themes. Okay, so we're going to do those right now. So a color theme, These are kind of cool because when you go to home and you pull down your little, this is what it looks like, right? These are the colors that you have because those are the default, okay? But if I go to design and I say, oh, I'm going to do this blue-green color, notice this already changed. And I go to my color palette, it actually changes my color palette so that every color I have to pick from fits in that color palette, okay? Which can be really great when you're creating something you want to be really put together and look really good. Okay, so you can change your themes. You can customize them as well. We're not going to get into that, but you can go in here and choose exactly what color you want for everything if you want your own thing. You can customize your fonts. We do something similar to that in PowerPoint. And effects, we haven't really used this, but you can just set so that all effects come out the same way. So that way it makes it the same throughout your whole document. So that's setting your theme colors, and you are going to be asked to set the theme colors in your assignment, and you'll notice, I'm actually going to show you what it does. When you come in here and you set your theme, okay, design, and you come in here and set, oops, not design, sorry, get out of there. Design, okay. And you change your theme color, it will actually change everything. See that, how everything goes with it? It's kind of cool, okay? So anyway, that's how you set that. So that's changing your theme. And then the other thing that we're going to talk about is page color. So this is if you want the background color to be one page. Now be careful with this because it uses a lot of ink. Okay, especially in my classroom, if you do this and try to print that, I am not going to be happy with you because that is using up a ton of ink for no good reason. Okay, so I try to avoid using too much of this because it uses a lot of ink for no reason. I think in this assignment I have you put it to a really light gray. So that I can see that you know how to do it, but you don't take up a lot of space. You can also do fill effects where you just do like a gradient. And you can set what those two colors are, right? You can even change the direction that they go. And then your whole document has that background color to it. And notice you can also do, it's just like you can add a texture, you can add a pattern, you can even do a picture. I don't suggest you do pictures because you don't have any control over where it goes. It'll just repeat it. And you can't change how, it's just obnoxious. So I don't like to use pictures. If I'm going to put a picture in the background, I'll either use a watermark or I will literally create a picture and do it behind text so I can control exactly where it is. So I don't think using a page color with an image is really very useful, but it is there for you. And like I mentioned earlier, if you go to File Print, look and see if you can see the color, okay? If you can't, you need to go to Options and go to Display and make sure that this is checked. I'm going to uncheck it so you can see what I'm talking about because now when I go to print, it's still white. It doesn't show it, okay? So if you want to print the color background, then you need to make sure you check that box. The next thing is screenshots. Screenshots are great. First of all, if you look on your keyboard, there is a button that says Print Screen. A lot of kids don't even realize it's there. It should be next to your F12 button. And if you do Print Screen, you just copied whatever's on your screen, and then you do Control V, it will paste whatever's on your screen. I have a double screen, so it's showing both, right? So that's good, but you can also do it within Word and get a little more specific. So what I can do is go to Insert, Screenshot, and what I like about this one is it shows like I have a lot of things open right now. It shows everything I have open, okay? And then if I click on it, it's gonna put that up there so I can see it, right? So that's how you can do a screenshot. Now, one issue that I had with screenshots in my classroom was that my students would go to do a screenshot and all they see are like little black squares and it doesn't actually show them what they want. So if that happens to you, you need to go to Google. It's a Google issue. At least this is what I found that worked because I had the exact same problem. Click on this little guy right here and then go to Settings. And then you want to go to over here, you want to go to System, I believe, or no, you go to Advanced. Then you go to System. And right here, you want to make sure where it says use hardware when unavailable, you want to uncheck that, okay? And then once I did that, it totally worked just fine. And now no matter what it's checked, it still works. So I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, give that a try if you're having trouble getting black squares. One of the main reasons I've used screenshots is if I'm doing a Google map, because a lot of times you need to pull a map into something. So I'm going to go to Google Maps and I'm going to type in Denmark. Okay, and I'll just screw it. I'm just randomly picking a spot. Okay, so there's where I want to do it. Maybe I'm talking about my ancestors that are from this area, which they are. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come back to my screenshot, and there it is, my little screenshot right there. It's all ready to go. Okay, and the problem is though that it shows everything, right? It's showing the window and the edge. Like, I don't necessarily want all of that. So what I can do is do cropping. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is cropping, where I go to crop right here, and I can just pull the edges in exactly where I want them. So I'm getting exactly what I want, right? Now it's a picture. It's just a regular picture. I can change the wrap on it, move it to whatever size I want it to be, and I'm good to go, okay? So that's how you would use a screenshot, how you use crop. More things you can do in crop, by the way. You can crop to a shape, okay? You can crop to an aspect ratio, like how big you want it to be or whatnot. So that's some more stuff. And then, of course, you can hand crop it exactly where you want it to be done, okay? Notice the old stuff is still there. Like, once I've cropped it, I can still get it back. It isn't gone. Once I go into crop, I can still recrop it to a different size, okay? Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is templates. And in your assignment, you do templates and in combination with screenshots, okay? So let's talk about what templates are. So a template, we're going to go to new here. And a template is something that is created, already done for you in Word, where it's already designed and all you have to do is fill in what you want. So on one hand, it's easier because you don't have to design anything, you just enter it, but it also takes away a lot of your freedom to make it look exactly how you want. You might pull it in and you're like, well, this is cute, but oh, I don't like that picture, or and it could be hard to fix it. Personally, I don't like to use templates because I know PowerPoint, or I know Word well enough to create it myself without the help. But it can save you an awful lot of time. Like, I can just come in here and try to change pictures, but see, it's hard to even get to them. Like, it can be kind of a pain to use them. So I just want you to be aware that they are here, okay? And you go to File, New, and you can go here like cards, and it'll find all the cards for you. Or you can type in, I think you guys have to do a resume. It is pretty awesome for a resume. Like, if you want to make a quick resume, it's already designed for you, okay? And then you can double click on that and create it, and then you just change it to be your name, right? So in your assignment, all you have to do is pull up a template, doesn't matter which one, type your name on it so I know you've changed it, and then you go to File, Print, just so I can get the full version of it, and I'm going to go back to my other document in Word, and I'm going to do Insert Screenshot and get that picture, right? Pulls that in, and then I have to crop it so that all I'm seeing is the actual template that I'm using. Okay, so we're kind of hitting two birds with one stone here. We're practicing, well, three birds with one stone, because we're practicing cropping and screenshot and also learning how to create a template. Okay, so that's what a template is. It's already designed, and then you just fill in the differences. So there's one spot in here where I talk about borders. When we did tables, I didn't really go into borders, and you kind of need it for the application. So if you want to remove borders from this, okay, then you just go to Table Tools, and you can go, actually you don't have to go to Table Tools, you just go here and you just do no border. If you've done Excel, this will be very familiar to you, okay? It's exactly the same as Excel, but I can just do no borders. Now the dotted lines are there so that you, as you're in the program, can tell that that is a table, but when you go to print it, you can't see it, okay? I showed you that in the beginning of that lesson, was it lesson 2? I can't remember, where we went over that. I think it was lesson 3. Okay, so you're going to be removing borders. That's how you do that. And then you can add, I think in yours it asks you to do bottom borders. So I have to go through each one and add a bottom border. Okay, so I just go through each one, bottom border. And then if you're not sure if it works, just go to print and you can see. See, there's my borders. Now it's giving me a dotted line because somewhere along the line I set my borders to a dotted line, so you can change what it is in here. So we're not going to go in much detail about borders. Maybe we'll do that later, but that is how you change the borders in a document. All right, we're going to move on to captions. So a caption is just adding a caption. One thing about captions, if you insert a picture from online, okay, especially if it's something that's not generic. So let's say I put Elvis Presley. I'm going to be getting a picture that's probably copyrighted, right? So if I click on that and insert it, it's going to have this, it already has a caption built in. Problem with their caption is it doesn't really say a whole lot. It's not necessarily what you want. You may want to add your own caption. Okay, so I'm just going to click on this box on the inside and delete that to get rid of that caption, just to get it out of my way. Because I found that when you resize the document, like if you pull it in like this and then you go to picture tools and you change it to like 1 inch, it doesn't work, right? It gets all crazy. But if I delete this first and then I change it to 1 inch, sorry, then it's fine. Like then it will do it properly. So you may want to move that caption, but then you can add your own caption. So to add your own caption, you just right click, go to insert caption, and there's two options here to exclude label or have label. So if you want it to say 1 or figure 1, it's the only difference. And then you can type in here Elvis Presley, right? And then I click OK, and I have it. Now the hard thing about those, and I don't know why it placed it there, that's really weird. Let me get rid of that. Is that they don't always travel together. So if I change this to in front of text, and then it doesn't always go with it. Like, it's very frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. So my suggestion to you, and sometimes you can pick up and move it, sometimes you can't, I don't know what's up with that, but what you wanna do is get it placed exactly where you want it, and then add your caption so you don't have to move it again, because it is kind of a pain. You can position it above or below, and you can change the numbering system if you want to start with a different number or whatever, but that's how you go ahead and add a caption. Next, we're gonna do the draw ribbon, which you should have already added. It might not show up. You should have gone into options earlier in this lesson and gone to customize ribbon and checked draw to turn it on if you don't have it showing. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting addition in 2019. This is also in your Excel assignment, so if you've done the 2019 Excel lessons, you might have already done this. It's pretty similar in this as it is there, but drawing allows you to actually, obviously, draw. Okay, so you can pick your pen and how thick it is. You can pick what color it is. They even have these like interesting effects and stuff. And then you can actually, if you have a pen and if you're using like a pen on your computer instead of a mouse, you could probably do some pretty cool stuff. But, you can actually sign your name or whatever. The challenge I find with drawing is getting rid of it when you're done. When you're like, okay, I'm done now. Okay, how do I get out of it? Like, that's the problem I've had. So I just push escape and that gets me out. I don't know if there's some other fancy way to do it, but if you're done drawing, you don't want to draw anymore, then just push escape and on your keyboard. And then you can actually pick it up and move it like it's an actual image. Okay. And so it's kind of cool that you can draw your own images like that and you have a lot of options. Another thing you can do is make a canvas. So you insert drawing canvas. And because it's a drawing canvas, it's like a shape. So you can go to drawing tools, add a shape fill to it, shape outline, all the same things you would do to like a text box or whatever. But a lot of stuff's not available, as you can see. But I can go to draw and then I can draw inside that. Oops. Okay. And you can't really see it. Not the best color option there, but I can draw inside of it. So in your assignment, I think I have you just type your name or draw your name inside. And then again, escape to get out of it. And then it's just treated like any other image. I can just do behind text or whatever and move it. I have yet to find a reason why I would really want to use this, although signing your name would be kind of cool. So I guess there's probably lots of applications for it, but I just haven't found one yet. But notice I can change the wrap on this, right? And then I have the ability to move the whole thing. Okay, so that's the drawing section. All right, the last thing we're going to do is inserting a chart. And so again, if you've done Excel already, this will be a piece of cake. Okay, if you haven't done Excel, it's still a piece of cake, but when you get to it in Excel, then it'll be a lot easier. So it's just going to insert chart. And you just choose what kind of chart you want. It looks just like it does in Excel. I think at first as I ask you to do a pie chart, you click OK, and it actually comes up and lets you type stuff in, right? Now, what if I want more than one? Okay, with the pie chart, you can only do one set of information. You can't do a second set because that's how pie charts work. But if I did insert chart and I did a bar chart or a column chart or something, okay, I might want to change the information, the data for it. So I actually had to pause to figure this out because I lost my data. See how my data is not showing up? That's good though, because this might happen to you and I had to figure it out and now you'll know how to fix it. So if you miss your data, you can go to chart tools and just go to edit data right there and it will pull it up. So there it is. So let's say I have different information I want to add. Okay, let's say I have sales for, I don't know, maybe commission or something is here. And I have a second set of data. Okay. Or sometimes when you do it, it starts with more data. So let me go back. So that one automatically added it. But if we start with a new one, because this is what's going to happen to you in your assignment today. Okay. And the data that it gives me has 3, but what if I only want 2? Okay, again, if you've done Excel, you'll already know what to do, but I only want Series 1 and Series 2. I don't want Series 3. So I have to click on this and move it over, and that allows me to eliminate one of the options. So it's only going to show me these 2 options. And then you can just change what it says, or if you add to it, let's say you add new numbers. Okay, it looks like it automatically will put those in. Okay, whatever. So most of the time it'll update, but if you want to change it, change what the data it is, you may have to do what I just did earlier. Okay, and that's all you really have to do to insert a chart. You can come up here and pick your different styles and notice that they have names. Okay, style, I think, and it'll tell you exactly which style to do. It may tell you what colors to do and whatnot. That may also be an option in there. If you want to change the font or the title, then you just come in here, change your title, whatever. All right, so that concludes this assignment. A lot of the stuff that's in here, like the charts and drawing, you're actually not going to use in the application, but now you know how to do it at least. But your application is going to be a little bit tricky. Remember, it's going to be pulling stuff from previous things. It's really just kind of a compilation of things that you use most commonly in Word. So good luck, and we will see you in Lesson 5 as we get into more advanced features of Microsoft Word.